Pueblo's greatest hits, KPHT 95.5. It's a Friend Friday. My longtime friend in today, Eddie Potestio. Eddie, how you doing this morning?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for getting up early on this Friday morning and actually coming in. What time do you normally get up?
Oh, noon, 1:30.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Self-employed, everybody thinks you wake up at 1, go in, count your money, and then take a vacation
And
day.
You got, 4 days off on a week or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly
but,
it. So, I'm up anyway.
Eddie Potestio. So how long have we known? I was trying to think about this. How long have we known each other?
I was thinking we probably met 44 years ago, probably, somewhere around there. I was probably 16.
16.
Yeah, and I just turned 60 2 weeks ago, so you do the
math.
Easy math. I can do that math.
Yeah, see, 14. I carry the...
carry the one. I can cipher and gazintas and all that stuff.
Don't have to take my shoes off or anything, But 16, so 44 years ago. 44 years ago, we were messing with cars 44 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
We're still messing with cars. We never got any sense out of any of this. But
44.
So I'm thinking back, 44 years ago, you had a Chevy Love pickup. Was that the first thing you had?
That's the first. I actually had a 51 Ford that I was taking apart at my uncle's junkyard and got it apart. And my uncle, being the junkyard guy that he is, sold parts off of my car. And I came back a couple of times. There was more stuff missing than when I left.
Anything for a buck, man.
It disappeared, yeah. But my first real car was the Love, which I still have.
You still have that?
Still got 33,000 miles on it.
Because it was, obviously it was a fairly new vehicle.
It was, just a few years old, but it went through my uncle's junkyard as a total that my cousin wrecked.
Uh-huh.
It was an overhead garage door truck.
And
they just bought it. It still had the new car sticker on it. My cousin worked for overhead garage door. Another uncle owned overhead garage door. My cousin came from the Christmas
Are you related
party.
to Kevin Bacon somehow?
Somewhere
in all of
along
this?
that 3 degrees of, I'm Italian, so it just
could be,
yeah. So, and he plowed it into a center median in Abriendo.
Uh-huh.
My uncle bought it at the junkyard and was going to rebuild it and sell it.
Uh-huh.
My dad bought it as I need a truck around the house to go to the dump.
Go to the dump and in or whatever, yeah.
And that's how I learned how to customize. My dad says, you could do whatever you want to that truck as long as you pay for it.
Yeah.
So
I thought you were going to say you learned how to cuss because that's
I
part
learned
of
how
this.
to, but that came with that. Yeah, that was the second day of doing work on the truck. I learned how to cuss.
Yeah, you should start learning some expletives or whatever. But who's the uncle that had the junkyard?
Gene Potestio. He owned P&P.
Yeah, okay.
It's now all Ford.
Yeah. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, my wife kicks me because he was going to save that junkyard for me if I wanted it.
Uh-huh.
But he asked me on a 110-degree day after I'd been sorting wheels outside all day.
I don't want nothing to do with it.
And I don't want anything to do with the junkyard. And now my wife gives me crap all the time. Oh, my God, you could own a junkyard. And her favorite place to hang out is the junkyard.
Uh-huh. But they're not supposed to call them junkyards anymore.
Recycling yard.
Auto recycling something, yeah.
Yeah, precious metals store yard is what I call the stuff I own. I don't know if that's...
Hey, can you hang out for a while?
You bet.
Eddie Potestio in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5. Pueblo's greatest hits. You got your own business now. We were talking about how you got started. A bunch of us car guys all had the same thing in common was we had a love for cars and it never went away.
No.
Kind of the same thing you got going now.
No, and I was thinking we probably met down at Jim Fortune's old shop.
Well, that could have been, out on South Prairie.
A lot of the guys, actually, I stumbled into the one on South Prairie when Monac first started selling the Total Performance T-Buckets.
Uh-huh.
Stumbled in
that
there.
would have been in the mid-'70s.
Yeah. They didn't want to have nothing to do with me because I was a young kid. And
they didn't even know you back then.
They didn't know me. No, they had no idea. Well, I was nobody. I mean, I really wasn't. I'm still not, haven't gained much on that. But, yeah, I mean, I was a kid. I was wasting their time, essentially. I mean, you can see it now.
That was a fun place to hang out, though, man. There's some cool cars were going on.
And then the shop down on, 7th Street? Was it 7th or 8th at... Jim and Zag and...
Oh, we were all on 4th Street for a while.
Street.
We were with the Black Mule gas station. Then we ended up across the street from Merton's.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
We ended up there later on. Yeah,
that's where I met Scott Smith.
Yeah.
Scott Kennedy's. I later worked for Scott Kennedy.
At Widener's a long time ago. I'll be darned.
A lot of history, man.
Yeah. A lot of body men came out of that crazy shop where we just had a good time, drank a lot of beer, and goofed around a lot. But a lot of the body shops that are still going came out of that place there.
Yeah.
That's where they learned,
And you learn from a metal man. You learn from Fortune. And, I mean, even though he was probably drunk at the time, or one of us was drunk at the time.
Somebody was.
I mean, not me because I was underage.
Yeah. But, yeah, he was a metal magician, man.
Yeah. He always told me, you can chop anything in the world as long as you got a kite stick. I'm like, I don't.
Kite stick.
You lay the kite stick on the car to make sure you had a nice flowing line. But the kite stick bent evenly, to where if you laid the kite stick on, you found a low spot. That was
then you knew. Okay, that makes sense.
So I didn't get it till later, and I started chopping cars. It was like, oh yeah, we need that kite stick back.
What the heck's a kite stick? Do they even have kite sticks anymore?
No, I walk in and ask for a kite stick now. See what happens.
Even a yardstick
right next
is
to
hard
my record player.
Yeah. But so your first car that you started messing with was a Chevy Love pickup, and then it kind of went from there. I mean, because you did a lot of the stuff to that. I remember the first time I had seen it was at the car show in the fairgrounds, a PMI car show, I think. And
80. 1980.
1980. Wow.
That was my first car show.
And what did you do to it?
I learned how to I wanted to mold in the fender skirts because that's when mini trucks were huge.
Right. Oh yeah.
I learned how to mold in the fender skirts with fiberglass and the front spoiler, and then I learned how to paint on that truck. And then when it came time to do the upholstery, I took it to Joe Scooble, and I thought, man, this job is way cleaner than the bodywork thing. You don't get half as
got a
nasty.
few threads laying around.
You might trip over a piece of material. That's
yeah.
And so the day after I graduated from high school, I went and got my first loan to buy a sewing machine.
I'll be darned.
That I didn't know how to work.
And
I asked Joe if he would teach me. He said, no, I won't teach you, but I'll answer questions. So if you want to go do something and then come back and ask me questions about it, I'll answer the questions.
But then later on, Joe was teaching over at PCC.
Yeah. He wouldn't teach me, but maybe he figured it was too hard of a subject to teach.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it's like you got to know your.
Can't teach this kid anything. There's no way I'm going to attempt this. Push that rock uphill.
Yeah.
But then later on, Joe would send me some of his custom stuff because he didn't really like doing the custom stuff.
Yeah, I make more money doing the quick in and out and all that. So you learned on that truck. This is what people don't understand sometimes. It's kind of the same way here. But you learned on that truck how to do basically everything you could do to that truck.
Yep, buy those classic
because we didn't have any
books.
money. We didn't have any money.
Worse yet, we didn't have any Google.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There wasn't an internet to go to ask questions about, and there wasn't any shop classes that taught that.
No.
They taught welding, small engines, and construction.
Yeah.
Those were our shop classes.
That's it.
And they're gone now. So,
yeah, that's even worse now. But no Google. That is a big difference because, like now, you could fix your refrigerator if you want to Google it and figure, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And now I find myself going to Google to replace, figure out how the headlights come out of my new truck and but back then it was those classic motor books. So if you wanted to learn something, you had to plan ahead because it was a month of ordering it and then getting it in the mail. So I'm going to eventually paint this car. I'm going to need a book, so I better order it now.
These darn kids nowadays,
Yeah. Never thought I'd be that old.
Eddie Potestio in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. I remember us long time ago, a bunch of us used to hang out together, car guys, but we did all kinds of other stuff besides car stuff together. And I remember you and your wife, before you were married, we would drink beer at the Glory Hole.
Oh, my God.
And the Glory Hole had different meaning than maybe it does now.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same meaning now.
But that was a hot. I think, what is that? A mattress place there now?
That's a weird coincidence, isn't it? That it turned out to be a mattress place.
True.
Wow, that's kind of scary, actually. For a little forethought there.
Yeah.
No, we spent a lot of time there.
And what year did you get married?
85.
Wow.
1985.
Wow. I don't think you guys were married when we used to go.
No, because it took me. I had to chase her for 2 years, which would now be considered stalking.
Yes, but not much difference there.
Yeah, no, not much difference. Yeah. And before she realized I wasn't such a bad, I told all my friends say, "What's she seeing you?" I said, "She saw potential." That's
potential.
About all I can.
She still sees potential in you.
She's got to. There's got to be something there.
And your wife's name?
Elisa.
Yeah, we can't just allude to
her
as
No, Elisa. I'll tell you what.
The little woman.
I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing for a living if it wasn't for her. She doesn't quite get that. But had I married someone else who didn't understand the lifestyle, didn't want to deal with the lifestyle, or just wanted me to go do a 9 to 5, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So it's not. when she says, "I'm really proud of you," I'm proud of us because it took two people to do it.
To get you there, yeah.
Yeah, to get us there. A lot of people along the way, everybody says, "I'm self-made." No, you're not. You're a liar.
Yeah.
There's 100 people
behind you that
helped
you
along
get
the
there.
way that you just have to remember that they helped you. You know,
And
right?
and what we haven't talked about since you've been in here this morning is actually what you do. But you build custom cars now.
Yep, I build custom cars. I do custom upholstery work.
And you've done this for your entirety,
Yeah,
for your whole career.
All my
And you just turned 60, as we mentioned.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Since I was 16 when I took that first car apart, it's like I've been doing the same thing, and
you still like it.
I love it.
I know you do.
I love it.
Yeah, I know you do. A lot of people get to that burnout stage, and evidently you haven't.
Well, there's those times when you get, I call it writer's block because you'll get a writer who's a famous novelist, and he'll go in and I just don't know what to write about.
Right, sit there.
And I'll get a customer's car, and I'll sit and stare at panels and try to figure out what I want to do on their interior.
And you don't want to do everyone the same.
No, there's never any two that are alike.
Right.
And I've had some unbelievable customers. In fact, I'd say 99.9% of my customers are just great. They just bring the car in and say, just do what you want to do.
Do something to this. Yeah, do it.
And I'm blessed to be able to do that, too, because a lot of people get these real strict parameters on them. And you have to do this way. Well, that doesn't always work.
Well, like John Largent used to say, when somebody'd say, I want you to do this and this and this and this, he'd say, well, here, do it yourself then.
Yeah, if it's that
you don't
easy,
want an artist,
I love the people who you just do this and you just do that and you just really, wow, it's way easier than I'm doing it. I'm making this way more difficult than it needs to be because it's just this. Okay.
Yeah.
But, no, I've been blessed to do what I love to do for as long as I've done it. And it's, I didn't do it by myself. I had a supportive family, supportive friends. I mean, we don't talk all the time. We're talking about that this morning.
Right.
We don't get to sit down and talk because when we're in an event, we're going opposite directions.
Right. And that's what's kind of weird here is we're actually spending some time together.
Spending some time talking. But we always have known from when we needed something, the other one would be on
absolutely.
the phone.
Absolutely. We're going to talk some more. I hope you can hang around, right?
I can be here. This could take
I
a while,
noticed you didn't show up with donuts or anything, so I didn't know how
noticed
long
that,
you
but
were thinking that
I remembered how you looked and how I looked in the mirror this morning, and I didn't think either one of us needed donuts.
Yes, thanks a lot. Eddie Potestio in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. We're talking cars because we've both been car guys forever. I had to go get a real job. I couldn't afford my car addiction and now I think I have to get another real job because I can't afford the radio addiction, but it's all worked out. But we were talking earlier, so you started off with a Chevy Love truck, and that kind of got you going there. And what was your next vehicle after that you got into, built, customized, however you want to look at it, I guess?
I picked up a 61 Ford Starliner.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember
Scott
that.
Kennedy bought it.
Scott Kennedy had it.
And I worked for Scott at Widener's. And
it's kind of a purplish color or something, wasn't it?
It wasn't. Well, one of the
like
17 colors it was painted during the
yeah.
course of, I think Scott Smith painted it black.
I do remember that now. Yeah,
charcoal gray. I think Mitch Diamond put ghost flames. No, somebody put ghost flames on it. Somebody else painted it black. I mean, it was
handed down.
Well, but the paint jobs were
right. That's what I mean.
Still my car, and that's what Elisa and I dated in, and that's. Of all the cars, that's probably the car I'd like to get back if I could. Get it
really?
Back. Yeah. I love my Starliners, but
so it was a 61?
61.
61.
Only made them 2 years.
Yeah,
and he bought it, and I remember being at Widener's and Scott Smith and Scott Kennedy, and I sitting on a Saturday afternoon staring at the car, whistling the Andy Griffith theme
because it looked like the one they drove with the cop car.
Like the cop car in Andy Griffith. So I mean, it was just.
I think I gave Scott Kennedy a hood scoop for that. It was like a injector scoop or something.
It's funny, I never got that.
He's probably still got it. He probably still owes me for it. Now I think about it.
Somebody still has it, and somebody still owed for it.
Yeah, somewhere down the line. But so you took that car and
customized that. That was probably the first full custom interior I did in silver velour.
Ooh,
that was nice. The first PMI show, I was parked next to the concession stand, and all the bacon grease, and hamburger grease got all over that. That was nice.
Things have changed out there too, because I remember, they used to not have where Jai Dones is inside the Ag Palace. They didn't have an exhaust fan that went outside. So whoever, and it wasn't Jai Dones back then. I think whoever it was would be in there cooking hamburgers, and the grease would just
permeate.
Yeah,
the
go
whole-
whoever was within 30 yards got grease on their car.
And somehow
in their car. And
I would get stuck on just behind it or just across from it. And I was always, I constantly come home from the car smelling like hamburger grease. Like, what'd you cook today? I smelled like I cooked, but I really didn't. Do
I
anything.
really didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
But so you put that in that show. That would have been, what, early 80s, right?
We actually, that had to be, well, that was but we were just dating, so maybe 83, 84.
Wow.
We actually put that car together at the PMI show. We got it out of the paint and
It's
body
surprising
shop.
how much that usually happens still to this date, too. But
We told them, we said, we're going to get this car out of the paint booth, but we need to and it was a bunch of chrome on that car.
right.
We brought in the car and 2 pickup loads full of chrome.
Bumpers, trim, all the stuff.
bumpers,
Yeah.
They locked us in the building all night long. We ordered pizza, me and 2 of my buddies. In fact, I just saw one of the buddies half an hour ago at breakfast, but they locked us in the Ag Palace all night. We got pizzas and stuff to drink, and we sat there all night long and laid the carpet in it, put the seats in it, and all the chrome right out of the body shop, and it was done for the car shop.
And that was fun. We thought that was fun.
It would kill me now.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I got to sleep 9 hours. I'll be back. Yeah.
Well, nothing's really changed. It's just that I do it at home now, but I still work those hours trying to get cars done because I have yet to miss a deadline that if I told someone that one of my cars is going to be somewhere, I'll kill myself to get it there.
Well, and what people don't realize, you watch these shows on TV and they're, a half of an hour, which is really 45 minutes or less of actually car building, and you think, oh, it's not that big a deal. They knocked that car out in,
Yeah, the overhaul
5 days. Yeah,
90 people.
Yeah, that's another thing.
They built one at SEMA in a week, and it was 90 people.
Yeah, and they've got people with another donor car that they're building pieces for the actual car and things like that that's going to go on at the last minute.
Yeah, no one wants to pay the bill on a week of 90 people at $100 an hour.
Yeah. Fun stuff, fun memories for the most part.
Yeah, they really, you look back at it and there were really a whole lot of bad ones because we weren't out causing problems. We were usually in the garage working on our cars.
Yeah, out working. Eddie Potestio in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. When did you decide, you know what, I can make a living of doing this and not have to work other jobs, working on cars or doing interiors and upholstery and things like that?
I think I worked for my last boss, besides Elisa.
Well, true, yeah.
88 or 89.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when we first got married, I didn't have a shop yet. Luckily, I married, her parents were really supportive. And so I was doing seat covers and floor mats, whatever I can make money on in an 8x10 shed with one incandescent light bulb and an extension cord.
Wow.
Running my sewing machine. I couldn't do anything bigger than the sewing machine table. And no room to take a seat apart because the shed just
was
big
too
enough
small.
for all that.
Wow.
And her dad built me a shop in the back of our first house. And
that was over off the Mesa Junction or something, if I remember right.
Yeah, Route in Madison.
Wow.
Right there. So, yeah, and it was close enough to Joe's, Scooble's place.
You could go ask some questions or buy some material.
I bought all my material from him,
Wow.
Nobody was going to sell material to a kid doing upholstery out of an 8x10
out of a shed. Out of a tough
like,
shed, yeah.
You don't want to see my shop right now. It's very messy.
It's messy, yeah.
Very tiny. But, yeah, her parents have always been were always really supportive. Her mother defended me at a Christmas party one night because one of her aunts said I should
go get a job. She
wished that I would get a real job, and my mother-in-law was like
Unloaded.
ready to go to blows. It was like, man, I married right.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So went from there, and then I know you have a beautiful shop at your house now, but you're still
bigger shops, more projects, bigger projects, and it's still just me. So, and I have a buddy that comes down from Denver. SEMA projects, he's down 4 days a week. People in the neighborhood think he lives with us, but he's
what's
there
going on over there at the
and,
Potestios?
Yeah, I got a halfway house going on. It's a little public service. But it's been all family and friends basically.
So these big time car builders, who's your idol like, or who did you pattern yourself after? I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should reword that. But who did you think, man, that guy's got it together? I'd like to be kind of like him.
Of the shows, it's funny because David Kindig and I were talking about it this
From
last year.
Bitchin' Rides.
From Bitchin' Rides, yeah. We've been friends since 1999 when I built my first SEMA car. We built that car in 8 months. And I had met Dave through the Good Guys shows, and I had him draw an interior for me for a Nova wagon we built for SEMA in 99.
I remember that, yeah.
And that was my first SEMA car, and then he drew it, and he was telling somebody at SEMA this year that the interior in that Nova was one of the first interiors he drew that anyone ever duplicated.
Wow.
And after doing that interior that he drew, I know why there wasn't anybody else duplicating him, because, boy,
nobody's dumb enough to try it.
So complicated, but... So at one point, probably back in 2000, 2001, at dinner, Dave and I and another guy that was friends of ours were talking about opening a shop together. And Dave had always had huge aspirations. I mean, he wanted to start with a Riddler car. And I'm thinking, man, I don't know. At the time, a Riddler car was probably being built for $750,000.
Right, right.
And I'm thinking, I do not have $250,000 laying around that I'm not doing anything
with.
Right,
right.
And so I bowed out of the deal, and so did the other guy, which that part of it was a blessing. But Dave and I have been friends ever since. And
he's done very well.
He's done very well.
And he's a nice guy, too. Very nice guy.
Him and Kevin are probably two of the nicest guys in the industry. A lot of fun. Probably, I can't talk about any of the fun, but really
I drank some apple pie cider with them at Pinky's one time. It was, yeah.
Well, I mean, and Brian Fuller, you know Brian Fuller.
I know who he is.
Do
I don't
not
really
ever drink anything out of the turpentine can he carries around.
Okay, that's good advice there, but. It's a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's Greatest Hits. My friend in today, Eddie Potestio. We're talking cars. We're talking all kinds of stuff. We're talking Pueblo, basically, because we're Pueblo guys. Where'd you go to school?
South.
I thought you did. Just you're a few years younger than me, obviously 4 years younger than me.
Yeah, the tire tracks were still there. But
I
went to South, too.
Skid marks, not tire tracks, yeah.
It's a long story. We won't go into that.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. It didn't have a pause track back then either, you know. But,
yeah,
talking cars. We've been car guys forever. You've made a living. You've made a career and a hobby. You've taken a hobby and been able to run with it. And I kind of done the same, not necessarily with cars so much, but with kind of the lifestyle still. And it's it's a fun thing. It's a fun thing. Yeah, it's not all fun and games, as you know, as you've said. There's a lot of work involved, and people. It's not like the TV shows and that or things like that people create there. But
no, and people don't.
Radio's
understand.
not like Wolfman Jack on American Graffiti, obviously here either. You know.
No, I've been around you when there's times when you have to stop and go do something that needs to be on there right now, and and people don't
climb on the roof and fix the antenna.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. You're the guy that they call, and or you're the guy that's doing all the promo spots, and you're the guy that's doing the weather, and and that doesn't end. And when you go home, it doesn't end.
No, it never ends.
You don't have a weekend with the family because it doesn't end.
That's but it's all. It's
what
we
do. It's the life
do.
we chose.
It's what exactly.
And we're blessed to be doing it.
My dad always told me, "When are you going to quit that stuff and go get a real job?"
I've had that
still,
my whole life.
Well, I'm sure you have. Well, we were talking about the TV shows and that. You had some great fortune, and I don't mean money-wise, but you had some great fortune to be on one of these build shows, right?
Oh, yeah. In 2013, I was asked to be on Tim Strange's show, Search and Restore.
Search and Restore, and that's kind of one of those feel-good, give-back deals, right?
They'd pick a family to do a car for, and this guy was a fireman who donated a lot of his time to Memphis Fire Department and the Memphis charity causes and stuff. So he never really had time to build himself a car, and he did have the car.
Just
and so
couldn't do it.
I met Tim I'd always known Tim because he's another car builder, and we had the same sponsors. And
out at
I
SEMA
didn't know
and
he knew
different
me
things.
from Adam. And he walked up at Pomona and asked if I'd be on his show. I told him, I would love to. It was a great honor. And, I thought they wanted me to go do upholstery or whatever.
Right.
It was a week before the show, and I kept telling my wife, I'm not going. I'm going to bow out. I don't belong there. I'm not supposed to be there. It's just, she said, well, that's another how I know I married her. You're going. I'm putting you on the plane if I have to drug you like an elephant, and
and go, yeah.
And it was one of the best experiences I ever had.
That's awesome.
But
and did you do all this in Memphis?
Did it all in Nashville. Yeah.
Okay.
2 weeks. I was one of the only people to sign on for 2 weeks of the same project.
Wow.
Because I figured, having taken cars apart and put them back together, you want somebody from that first week that took that car apart to be there on the
put it
third
back to,
week.
where does this go? Yeah, where does this go?
Because we literally built the car in 4 weeks, and it ran out the door in 4 weeks. It wasn't like, make it looks like it runs, and we'll fix it 6 months from now.
Right.
But it was actually started it, finished it in 4 weeks.
Wow.
And we rolled the car out in 4 weeks, but Tim used to arrange the cast. He would handpick the cast, and he'd handpick the crews, and he had the best he's the best at picking chemistries of people that work together, because there was no bickering, there was no scripts, there was no nothing.
I'll be darned.
Everybody worked like we'd known each other forever.
And then how about the fireman that was awarded the car?
He's the only one. They built 8 or 12 cars on that show. He's one of 2 who every year remembers us all on Facebook. It's the anniversary of him getting his car and how grateful he is and how blessed he is.
How cool.
He's one of the only 2, so I was lucky to be on that.
Now, can you watch that episode like on YouTube or something? Is it still out there somewhere?
It's still available on Amazon and YouTube. I think it's the Challenger build, which was the last build of the series.
Okay.
And but it's the 74 Challenger on YouTube. But
awesome.
Search and Restore was the show.
Search and Restore. I'll be darned. That's awesome.
It was a great experience.
I'll bet.
I'm glad my wife talked me into going, and
glad she held a gun to your head.
Yeah, that was.
Eddie Potestio in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. Talking about old days, we're talking about new days, all that kind of stuff. Cars, both car guys here for years and years and years. And, you know, a lot of times when I interview, like, say, a rock and roll star or something, I ask them, what's your favorite song? And they almost always tell me, well, it's this one because it made me, you know, $10 million or whatever. But you know, songs are like your kids and all that kind of stuff. What was your all-time favorite car that you've built?
Because of the circumstance, probably the 50 Merc I built for my dad and mom.
The blue one?
Yeah, the blue one.
Uh-huh.
I bought that car for my dad's 50th birthday. On a subsequent birthday, I sent it out to be chopped, and I did an interior for a chop job, and the chop job was completely ruined.
I remember that,
And that car sat for 20 years.
And
no one would touch it because they didn't know what they were getting into. So
right.
One day I got fed up, and I told my wife, I said, I'm going to fix that chop job. And she says, you don't know how to weld. And I said, well, I'll buy a welder. I'll learn. I didn't know how to use a sewing machine when I bought it.
Right.
So I went and bought the welder, and I had friends who welded, and I watched enough to where I could figure it out. And I figured it out within a week, and the following weekend chopped that top off the car and redid it. And but I had 20 years to scope it out and figure out all the
here's the bad spot.
Here's the bad
this,
spots, and here's how I'm going to redo it.
And
So that's what started my metal career. And then as soon as I got hooked on doing metal work, it was like that's kind of my zen moment, because I do upholstery all the time. I can go put the welding helmet on and my earphones on and get away from everything and shut everything off and just go create something out of metal. So it's probably my favorite thing to do is so doing that for my mom and dad, and we debuted it at SEMA in 2005, and my mom, my dad, and my sister were all there for the debut.
How cool!
Which was really cool because that doesn't ever happen.
Yeah,
and that was a lot of fun. But
I see that car still pop up on Facebook all the time somewhere. You know,
there's a guy using it for advertisement for his shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and my wife was like, "Well, at least you should call up and confront him." I said, "I don't have to. 40 of my friends already called him and just made him, just berating him forever. You know, it's like." Don't take credit for somebody else's work, man.
Right.
That just isn't. You know.
Well, yeah, I can see how that would have great meaning too for your dad.
Yeah. No, that was one of the coolest things I think we've ever got the chance to do.
And speaking of your dad, he still helps you. And how old is he? He's
going to be 90 in July.
And he still helps you out in the shop all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Any project I have, man, he'll be there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he'll be there. And he always. Oh, I can't move as fast as I used to, and I can't. Who does?
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't either. But for 90, if I can still be as good as he's doing.
If I'm still alive, I'll be happy. If I'm still able to breathe on my own,
we'll probably still be here.
I'll still be here. Pueblo's greatest hits. You know,
my last remaining friend, Eddie.
It's a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. My friend in today, Eddie Potestio, talking how we got started in cars and how it gets in your blood, and it still does, even though I got a different job. I can't get away from cars, and not that I want to either. I'm going to have to live to be like 600 years old to get them all done, but that's just how it is.
I think everybody thinks that, that, I've got all this that has to be done, but if you think about everything that, you start listing everything that you've accomplished, and it's really amazing that, because I think that we always had that mentality. We were from a small town. We weren't ever supposed to be that far along.
Right.
And you think about it now, and people all over the country know who you are because you're the voice of the NSRA.
Well, that's
and basically a great ambassador for the city of Pueblo. And had you talked to us when we were 16, 18, we weren't supposed to do this.
No.
It's supposed to be a hobby that was just
right. Then go get a real job.
Go get a real job, and to be as far along and be able to still be involved in cars. You're not working on cars as much as I am, but you're out there around the cars all the time. Because you're at a show almost every weekend during the summer. So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cars and shows, I noticed on Facebook you just were in Wichita. Not a couple weeks ago or so, right?
This weekend will be 2 weeks ago. So
and that was a big show.
Great show. It's all done for charity. It used to be one of Daryl Starbird's shows. The board got it from him basically because he just didn't appreciate the people who were showing up, and he's always grumpy, always, and. They just told him, you're just too grumpy. You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to acknowledge that the people come and bring their cars to the shows, and we want to buy the show from you. And they've made it all about charity.
Awesome.
They give to 2 charities who help developmentally disabled adults have an apartment. They live in on their own, but with some help, assisted living. It's 2 houses that do this. And since they bought the show I think their first show was in 2012 or 2013, they donated like $1.5 million to these 2. Even on the year when they couldn't have the show because of
COVID year, yeah.
They donated $90,000 and
from sponsorships and things like that.
Just from sponsorships and stuff, and it's all done. Every dime goes to charity.
And the car that you took to this is your latest creation, right?
The latest car we did is Sapphire. She's a '96 Lincoln Mark 8. Chopped 6 inches.
And say it don't look like a 96 Lincoln.
Kind of fixed it. Steve Stamford did the original drawing on it, and I've got the opportunity to. I never thought I'd get the opportunity to work for Steve Stamford. I've always loved his work. Self-taught also. And
you've done a couple cars for him.
I've done a couple cars that he's done, and now he sends me drawings. Hey, you want to do this one? No, because he thinks that, if he sees it, everyone can build it.
Yeah.
But the Lincoln...
putting something on paper and putting it in metal is 2 different things sometimes.
Yeah, and there's a couple artists out there who haven't quite figured out that it doesn't always work in metal.
Yeah, you can't bend it quite like that, or you can't do quite like that.
Steve is not one of those guys. Steve has it pretty well figured out that if he does it on paper, you can do it in a car. But I've worked with Tom Taylor, who has no concept of what can be built.
He draws some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it looks great on paper, but it can't be built. And I've done a couple of those cars for customers, and it's just like his first thing, well, you didn't do it exactly like the drawing. No, because it wouldn't have rolled down the street if I did it exactly like your drawing.
And do they take offense to that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, because he doesn't understand. It's just you don't understand the question, man. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But, I'm not supposed to be doing this. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like I'm not supposed to be doing this. But the Lincoln that we just built is Lincoln Mark 8.
So will this Lincoln be for sale then? Eventually?
Oh, everything's for sale.
Well, that's what I mean. So you can finance the next project,
I have
right?
to because every car, everybody says, well, where do you keep all these cars? I can't keep them. I got to build one, sell it to build the next one.
Have some fun with it
and
you get some exposure with it, sell it so I can build another.
And that's all it is the exposure gets you the exposure for the next car. It gets your name out there. And
right.
People, when everybody thinks I'm going on vacation, that's harder than the work I do every day. Yeah. Oh, you're going to SEMA. Well, you know what SEMA's like.
Yeah, it's no vacation, especially if you're working out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate car show, but it never stops. It's
No.
like Vegas anyway. It just never seems like it stops.
And you have to be on all the time because you don't know where you're going to be or what time of the day it'll be when you're going to meet somebody that could help you or that could influence something that you're going to do
could help
next
you or could hurt you.
Or could hurt you.
Yeah.
And I see so many of the guys that just get out of control, and it's like, man, that doesn't look good, especially when you're wearing somebody's T-shirt that's a sponsor.
Exactly.
They put all that together, man. The public is not stupid. They know. You've got to protect your sponsors.
First time I put a KDZA shirt on, I had to readjust my attitude on all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you forget that you're representing someone that you're not used to representing.
No, absolutely. Eddie Potestio in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. What you said earlier that you turned 60 years old, how many cars you got left in you, you're thinking here? You going to keep doing this till you can't do it anymore? Are you going to retire at some time, or what are you thinking?
No, I
here?
tell everybody I got to work till noon the day of my funeral, so I'm going to miss the rosary.
Pay the bills.
Completely. Yeah. I don't see myself retiring only because I just love what I do so much.
Man, that's awesome.
But on any given day between Monday and Friday, I either have one more car in me or 70. I'm not exactly sure what but since I have to I'm a one-man shop, so I have to kind of shut my shop down to build a car, especially if it's got a deadline. And I make some stupid deadlines.
Ridiculous. Typical
Put
stuff.
it on myself, and I told them the Lincoln would be done last July, and it was done, but I came home after I made the commitment in Tulsa last year, which is in a couple of weeks, so it'll be a year. Oh, that car will be done for July at your show. And then I came home Monday and was in the shower and went, oh, my God.
What was I thinking?
That's only 5 months away. And thanks to a couple really, really good friends, we got the car done on time. And I don't know. I would never got the car done without him, but I can't mention his name here because he doesn't want he wants to disavow any knowledge of working on the car. But without him, the car wouldn't have been done. But it was another stupid deadline. And Elisa just nods her head and goes, yeah, I know, it was stupid, but you
got
do
it
that
done
all the time.
Yeah, you got it done. So you're looking for another car for the future? You're looking for something?
I'm looking for something, but I don't know what.
Nothing in particular till you see it and say, that's what I want.
Yeah, I want something nobody else has done.
Uh-huh.
You know, kind of like a Lincoln. Who the hell would build a Lincoln Mark 8? Ugly cars to start with. But yeah, I don't know what I want, but when I know it, when I see it, I'll know it. You know?
And then so you'll sell Sapphire, as we mentioned,
Sapphire
to
and
finance another one.
Else.
There you go.
It's the only way I can do it. No one wants to start the Potestio Museum, so and I don't have the money to just build a whole string of cars and keep them somewhere.
Keep them. You're not Reggie Jackson, or
I'm
whatever.
not Reggie Jackson, so we got to get rid of one to build another one. You know,
Tim Allen, Reggie Jackson. Who else?
I'm not going to do that. Plus, I don't like looking at them.
Jay
Once I'm
Leno.
done building them, that's my fun.
Yeah,
I don't even like really taking them out to show
cleaning them and doing all that after it's
I
done.
just build them, and somebody else take them out and show them.
There you go.
I love building them. That's still the creative part of it, is what I live for.
Well, that's fun. So just like an artist, as I've mentioned a couple of times here this morning, you got that artist about you.
I guess, yeah. It's just somebody says, "Don't you get attached?" I said, "Yeah, about the same way a guy gets attached to making Big Macs." You know, I'm going to miss that one Big Mac. No, you're not. You're
I put extra cheese on that one.
Extra cheese on that one, and I can't get rid of it. They can all go away.
Well, unfortunately, we have to too, because we're done here this morning. But thank you so much for coming in. It's fun
pleasure.
catching up. And as you mentioned earlier, we never get a chance to just sit down and talk.
No, we haven't. I mean, we probably could roll 30 hours of tape here this morning because it's
iHeart Management would not allow that.
Yeah. You wasted all kinds of. No, we don't ever get a chance to talk. So when we do get together, it's one of those. And another thing.
Yeah.
And,
And by the way, it's not tape. It's digital
I know.
audio
I dated
now.
myself.
Yeah,
tonight.
slightly. Let me put a 45 on here and we'll
could
go.
you do that? Spin a record real quick and we'll.
Eddie Potestio in here on a Friends Friday. Thank you again, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you for this honor, man. I really appreciate it. It's a privilege doing it.
Absolutely. Fun.